Hey guys, and welcome back to a brand new video, and the people over at Sandmarc are at it again. They have just released their awesome hybrid filters for DSLRs and mirrorless cameras. And being a hybrid filter, that means that it's an ND filter and a polarizing filter built into one. And if you watched my previous video where I reviewed the Sandmarc hybrid filters for smartphones, then these are basically exactly the same, just a lot bigger to fit our actual DSLR lenses. And if you watch that video, you know that I actually really like them on my smartphone, but I like these even more on my actual camera. And when you get these, you actually get a pack of 3 of them. So for the price of around £132, which is about $169, let's see if these are actually any good. And spoiler alert, yes, they're really good. When you receive them, you will get a Velcro soft carry case. Inside here, you will get the 3 filters, an ND16, an ND32, and an ND64. All 3 of these ND filters are polarizers as well. They also currently come in 4 different thread sizes, 58, 67, 77 and 82mm, so they can fit pretty much most lenses. I have the pack with the 77mm thread sizes so they can fit my Canon L lenses, but I do tend to use my Sigma 18-35 lens a lot. But this lens's thread size is 72mm, so unfortunately the thread size of the Sandmarc hybrid filters currently don't actually fit this lens. But I actually bought this step-up ring from 72mm to 77mm off of Amazon for $6.99. That means I can use the 77mm hybrid filters from Sandmarc on my Sigma lens, which is a 72mm thread size. And this actually works great and is a nice cheap workaround to get these filters to fit all of your different lens types. But let's actually just get back to the hybrid filters themselves. Now these actually do feel really nice and high quality. They're made from aluminium to keep them nice and durable and lightweight. The glass is multi-coated and anti-reflective and produce accurate colours. And the filters are actually made from 2 different colours. The ND part at the back is black and the polarizer at the front is grey. And I personally really do like that colour design choice to have those 2 different colours. When it's on the front of our lens, I feel like just having that slight grey kind of outer ring just helps it kind of pop and stand out on the front of our cameras. Having the soft Velcro carry case is a really nice touch as well, as it keeps all the filters safe and all in one place. Usually with ND filters and polarizers, they come with these big bulky cases which take up way too much weight and way too much space in our camera bags. If you bought these ND filters and polarizers separately, you'd have like 6 of these cases, because you'd have 3 for the ND and 3 for the polarizers, which again would take up way too much space and way too much weight in your camera bag. Whereas these are hybrid filters, they're ND filters and polarizers in one, and all 3 of them fit into that nice soft carry case, which saves a lot of weight and saves so much space again in your camera bag. So these are super easy to carry with you everywhere you go, and they also fit nicely into a coat pocket if you don't want to carry a bag with you. So what's with the name and why is it called a hybrid filter? Well, I've already kind of touched upon that. A hybrid filter is a hybrid between an ND and a polarizer built into one. They're not 2 separate things. And we can determine the amount of ND by the number on the side, so 16, 32 or 64. The larger the number, the more light that it's going to stop hitting your camera sensor. And the front of the filter will spin to increase or decrease the polarizer. And if you're wondering what an ND filter is, basically, to put it simply, an ND filter is like sunglasses for your camera. It helps to reduce the amount of light hitting your camera sensor. And this is very important if you want to take better pictures and videos and be in control of the overall look and feel of your footage. And like I just said, ND filters are rated by a number. The bigger the number, the more light it will stop. So on a bright sunny day, you'll probably want to use the ND64. On a cloudy day, you'll probably want to use the ND32. And on a dull kind of wintry day, you'll probably get away with the ND16. Now, if you take pictures and videos with your camera in the automatic setting, the camera is going to automatically choose the settings for that individual shot, which is okay for some certain scenarios, but normally we want to be in control of our shots and we want to control the settings of our camera, and to do that we need to put it into the manual settings. So ND filters and polarizers will really help us choose the correct settings for our shots. So by adding an ND filter onto the front of our camera, we're then reducing the amount of light going in so we can choose the correct shutter speed and the depth of field. So for instance, if you're filming and you want your footage to look cinematic, that normally means that we have to obey by the 180-degree shutter rule. Now that just means that your shutter speed should be double your frame rate, and this gives the most natural looking motion blur, or the cinematic looking motion blur. If you use the 180-degree shutter rule in bright conditions, then you'll probably have far too much light coming in and it will probably overexpose your image. That's why if you use the automatic setting, your camera will change the shutter speed, aperture and ISO to reduce the brightness of the shot. And the faster the shutter speed, the less motion blur you will get, and make it look less cinematic. Adding an ND means we are reducing the light coming in, so the shutter speed can stay double the frame rate to get that natural looking motion blur. And just so we're clear, if you're filming at 24 frames a second, then you'll want to use 1/48. 25 frames a second, then you want to use 1/50th, and at 30 frames a second, then you want to use 1/60th for your shutter speed to give the most natural looking motion blur. This shot here, we did not use an ND filter. We used a high shutter speed to reduce the amount of light coming in, and as you can see, it seems to be very sharp. And this is the same shot, but this time using an ND filter and choosing the correct shutter speed for the 180-degree shutter rule. And as you can see, the one using the ND filter looks far more natural and cinematic. We can even use the ND filter to help have a nice shallow depth of field. If you want to have a nice blurry background, then we need to have a nice wide open aperture, for instance f1.8. And having a wide open aperture means a lot of light is going to be coming into our camera, so to counteract that we would normally have to ramp up our shutter speed or choose a higher f-stop, neither of which we want to do. So using an ND filter means that we can use the correct shutter speed and also the right aperture for a nice shallow depth of field. And another use for an ND filter would be in long exposure photography. Now, photography and filmmaking has similarities but also differences, so ignore the 180-degree shutter rule, what I just explained, because that's kind of for filming. In photography, the shutter speed works slightly different, and for long exposure photography, we want to use a slow shutter speed. To have a slow shutter speed, we have a lot of light coming into the camera's sensor, so you guessed it, we use an ND filter on the front of our camera to help reduce the amount of light coming in so we can have a nice long slow shutter speed to do some long exposure photography. So basically filming and photography, we're constantly trying to get that perfect balance of our camera settings, from the shutter speed, the ISO and the f-stop. So using an ND filter really does help us get those correct settings. And now you might be wondering, what is a polarizer? A polarizer is kind of the same as an ND filter. It still reduces some of the light coming through to your camera sensor, but works slightly differently. A polarizer is usually used to remove reflections in water and windows, and can even be used to increase saturation and contrast. So it can help make the sky more blue and have more definition and contrast in the clouds. By spinning the polarizer, we can increase and decrease the amount of polarization we want. So overall, yes, you guessed it, I obviously do really like these hybrid filters. They're nice and high quality, and the fact that it's a pack of 3 with an ND 16, 32 and 64, all with polarizers built in, means that we get full control over our final shots and images. And the fact that it comes with this nice little soft carry case to put them in, and this just easily fits into a coat pocket or into a camera bag, just makes this kind of the perfect combination. I mean, in the past I've obviously had polarizers and ND filters before, but I've always found it slightly difficult to know which ND filter I should buy, and then having to pair that with a different polarizer, screwing them together and then putting that onto my lens, and then if I want to change the ND filter, unscrewing the polarizer, unscrew the ND, put another ND on, put the polarizer on, it just gets a little bit complicated, where having this set from Sandmarc just makes it kind of a lot easier, because it comes with a pack of 3. You don't have to choose which ND filters you want or you might need in the future. It comes with a pack, so you get the ND 16, 32 and 64, and each one of them has a polarizer, so you're not unscrewing and rescrewing each time or anything. And this kind of pack here is pretty much perfect for most filming conditions, so most people will just get away with these ND filters and polarizers without having to worry about buying any more. And also, like I said, having multiple thread sizes to choose from means that we can put this onto any kind of lens that we have, and if it doesn't actually fit every single lens, to buy a cheap little $6.99 adapter off of Amazon makes this pack super easy to go with any lens that we have got for our DSLRs and mirrorless cameras. So for the price of £132, $169, yes, I do actually think that these are a good buy, and if you're interested in picking these up, I will link them in the description down below. And I should also mention that yes, Sandmarc did send me these filters for a review, but this isn't a paid video, it's not a sponsorship or an ad or anything. This is my true and unbiased review of these filters. So thank you, Sandmarc, for sending me these and creating awesome products, and thank you guys for watching this video. If you found it interesting and informative, please give it a big fat thumbs up, as it makes a huge difference to me. And if you are new, hit that subscribe button, and until next time, keep on creating.